Hi there, friends. It's Miss Caitlin here, and today we are going to explore another wonderful masterpiece by Eric Carle. This book is called Mr. Seahorse, and I'm excited to read it with you. Okay, friends, let's get going. Do you see all these beautiful little seahorse pictures? It's one of the things I like so much about these books is looking at the pictures. Eric Carle's Mr. Seahorse. Mr. and Mrs. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea. Mrs. Seahorse began to wiggle and twist this way and that. "It's time for me to lay my eggs," she said. "Can I help?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, yes, thank you," said Mrs. Seahorse. And she laid her eggs into a tiny pouch on Mr. Seahorse's belly. "I will take good care of our eggs," said Mr. Seahorse. "I promise." Do you see? So in his big old belly, he's going to have some eggs now. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a group of trumpet fish hidden in a patch of reeds. Do you guys spy the trumpet fish hiding in that seagrass? I do. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Stickleback?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Oh, delighted," replied Mr. Stickleback. "I just built a nest, and right away Mrs. Stickleback laid her eggs into it. Now I'm going to take good care of them until they hatch." "Well, keep up the good work," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the seas, he passed right by a lionfish hidden behind a coral reef. Ooh, this is a hard animal to see. Here's our big, beautiful coral, but do you see the fish hiding in there too? Keep looking. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Tilapia?" asked Mr. Seahorse. Mr. Tilapia couldn't answer. His mouth was full of eggs. I know, said Mr. Seahorse. "Mrs. Tilapia laid her eggs, and now you are taking good care of them until they hatch." Mr. Tilapia nodded. "You must be very happy," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Wow, Mr. Seahorse has eggs in his pouch, and he just passed Mr. Stickleback, who had eggs in his nest, and now Mr. Tilapia, who's taking care of eggs in his mouth. Look at all of these daddies trying to help out. Oh, as Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed by several leaf fish hidden among the seaweed. This is another hard one. Do you see the fish right here in the seaweed? I can sort of see their mouths. Can you see their eyes? They're really doing a good job of hiding in the ocean. But before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Curtis?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "Perfectly fine," replied Mr. Curtis. "Mrs. Curtis laid her eggs, and I have stuck them on my head. Now I am taking good care of them until they hatch." "Well, you're doing a good job," said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam on his way. My goodness, those eggs are on his head. That's where they're stuck. As Mr. Seahorse drifted gently through the sea, he passed right by a stonefish hidden behind a boulder. "There's a stonefish? I don't even see this fish. It's so hard. Look at that hiding fish. Can you find it?" Before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. "How are you, Mr. Pipe?" asked Mr. Seahorse. "I couldn't be better," replied Mr. Pipe. "Mrs. Pipe laid her eggs along my belly, and now I'm going to take good care of them until they hatch." "Well, my, you should feel proud of yourself," said Mr. Seahorse, and swam on his way. Look at all of these fun fish helping out. They're taking good care of their eggs. Before long, Mr. Seahorse met another fish. How are you, Mr. Bullhead? Asked Mr. Seahorse. Tip-top, replied Mr. Bullhead. Mrs. Bullhead laid her eggs, and the eggs hatched, and now I'm taking care of them. You are doing a fine job, said Mr. Seahorse, and he swam away. The time had come for the seahorse babies to be born. Oh my! Mr. Seahorse wiggled and twisted this way and that, and at last the babies tumbled from Mr. Seahorse's pouch and swam away. One baby turned around and tried to come back into the pouch. Oh no, said Mr. Seahorse, I do love you, but now you are ready to be on your own. The end. Did you guys like this wonderful book? I loved seeing all the pictures of the different fish and seeing how the daddies were taking care of their eggs in different ways. This was such a delightful book, and I hope that you guys read it again and again.